Welcome back to another installment of Lessons Learned, Fireside Chats with Student Leadership Assistants. I'm Nick Menster, and I'm here today with Clare Sunderman. Clare, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'd be happy to, Nick. Hi, everyone. My name is Clare Sunderman. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am a senior studying biochemistry and graduating in, what's today, the 12th, the 13th, like 17-ish days. Terrifying. Yes. Next year, I will be attending the University of Toledo, getting a PhD in experimental therapeutics. So that's a little bit about me. I am a first-year student leadership assistant for the Marvin Center for Student Leadership. I do a lot on campus, but that's a little bit about me.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you for introducing yourself.
Thank you.
I understand you're here to talk with us today about purpose.
I am.
Would you be able to tell us just a little bit about purpose and leadership?
Yes, I would be happy to. So purpose is something, people talk about a lot. Either it's like your purpose in life or like your purpose in going into a specific role. But today I kind of want to focus on that, but also why it's important to talk about purpose in leadership itself.
For sure. So what has your personal experience been in college with purpose? How have you found your purpose? What's that look like?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm involved a lot on campus, but I didn't really go into that because that's kind of what I wanted to mention now. So I am the volunteer coordinator for Rally Cap Sports, which is a sports program for kids with special needs on campus, and that has nothing to do, as I said earlier, with my major or what I'm doing next year with my PhD. But going into that, I didn't really have a purpose for what I wanted to get out of that. So I think it's important to think about the things you join, just to think about, okay, what's the purpose of me joining this? Like, what am I getting out of this? But also, obviously you can join anything just for fun. Like, you don't need to have a purpose in joining anything, but also I got a lot of experience working with kids with special needs and a lot of diverse people, which I think is a great thing. So that's kind of been my purpose in that, but also understanding the purpose of a role you get into. I'm also vice president of chemistry club on campus, and the role of vice president in chemistry club, before I joined, I didn't realize it, but they set up all the experiments for chemistry club each semester, and it's supposed to be once a month, but with COVID, obviously, that wasn't happening. But if I had understood the purpose beforehand, I probably would have been better set up to succeed in the role, as I had no idea what really the purpose was. So I wasn't as successful this year in that, but if I had known the purpose beforehand and really understood the role I was getting into, I probably would have been better set up for the future. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds like a really cool leadership journey. I'm glad that you had those experiences at college.
Thank you.
How do you think that purpose relates to leadership as a topic?
Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot about purpose, obviously, that we could go into, like personal purpose, and you could make a mission statement and things like that, like trying to outline why you're doing things, either your purpose in life or the purpose of the career you want to go into, or even specifically your purpose in leadership. Kind of your purpose in what you want to do as a leader, and kind of mapping that out is also super important too. As I mentioned earlier, knowing what the purpose of a role is and what you want to get out of it is super important. On campus, you can obviously join, as I mentioned earlier, an organization for fun, but also if you join a leadership role, you should know the purpose of that leadership role, and also the purpose in you joining that organization. Because I know a lot of times students will get into things and realize, ooh, this wasn't what I thought it was. And maybe their purpose for joining that doesn't line up with the actual purpose of the organization. So a lot of times you need to know those things too. So, but in leadership itself, it's important to know purpose. As leaders, you shouldn't go into something not really having an idea of what you want to do. If you volunteer somewhere or lead a group of people, obviously you need to know the set purpose for that, and also in order to better lead those other people. Because if you don't have a driven idea of what's going on, everyone else won't know either. So you kind of have to have that, you're the set path in leadership, and you got to kind of set that path for others. It's a little bit about that, but also a little bit about, I know this is kind of flipping the coin a little bit.
Flip the coin a little?
Yeah. But the social change model, I don't know if anyone else has talked about this yet, but there's a bunch of there's 7 different topics in that. There's individual values, group values, and community values. And one of the group values is common purpose. And we talked about this in our winter retreat, actually. I believe I was the one who was assigned a common purpose, but I came up with the Avengers having a common purpose of saving the world. You know, if they all didn't have that common purpose, they obviously would not have been as successful as a group. You know, if, let's say, the Hulk was like, no, my purpose today is go take a nap, well then, a lot of things wouldn't have gotten done that did. Obviously that's very generalized.
Sure.
Maybe people don't know a lot about Marvel, but you know, having a group common purpose is super important as well, because if, you know, I went to Peru over the winter of 2019 before the pandemic, and our common purpose was to help the people down there and provide medication and medical services to the people down there who were in more rural communities who didn't have the opportunity to see the doctors as often. But if, you know, people had gone there without that common purpose of helping others, there would have been a lot of conflict in the things we were doing versus the things they might have wanted to do. So it's really important to really think about purpose, not only as a group, but as yourself and in an organization. There's just a lot of things to think about that I know I don't have a lot of time to talk about today, but I think it's really important to think about your purpose in that.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for kind of planting that nugget of wisdom, Claire. My last question for you is just for all the folks watching out there on YouTube, what is like one or two simple things that they can do to kind of think a little bit more about purpose in their lives?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot of things you could do, like little activities to try to figure out your purpose. You could always, you know, make a personal mission statement, as I mentioned earlier, either in your life, like, okay, what is my purpose of this, or purpose of my life? I know I'm still trying to figure that out. I have no idea. Who knows? Purpose of the organizations you're a part of, or even just your purpose as a student at BGSU. Trying to map out what you want to get out of your time here. I know that was super important for me. I made a roadmap my freshman year. Now, if I could find that roadmap, a lot of the things on there probably wouldn't have been what I actually did, but a lot of them would have been, because I thought about that, and I thought about, okay, what is the purpose of me being here, and how do I want to grow as a leader, and be purposeful in that. I know I've said purpose a lot today, but I think it's important for students to be aware of that and kind of recognize their own purpose in themselves, but also the purpose of the organizations they're a part of.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much, Claire, for joining us. We appreciate your time. This has been another installment of Lessons Learned Fireside Chats with Student Leadership Assistants. Thank you all for joining us. Bye-bye.